So I'm gonna be going through a number of things that um, it's all research based. It's all exercise physiology, and but a lot of it is the most important stuff is the current research that's out on movement. And those of you that do exercise, go to the gym or do classes like my classes. This is going to be really interesting for you because it's going to and it's going to come toward the end of the lecture. But basically, the bottom line is the research shows that if we sit too much, we have sedentary jobs, for example, that even an hour of vigorous exercise cannot offset an 8-hour desk job in terms of the detrimental effects that it has on the body, the inflammation that it causes, the arthritis, heart disease, cancer. You can talk about that, how sitting leads to certain cancers. But so wait for it. That's coming more toward the end, that information. But we're going to kind of go through it. The few points that I said we're going to go down are learn how the squat actually transforms the body, the metabolism, and the health. I'll be touching on that with some information that you're not aware of yet, most likely. Maybe a few of you are, but I doubt it. By the way, we're recording this, so this is going to be archived as well. So if you want to watch it again, you can watch it again. The second point was learn how to protect and strengthen your knees and back during the squat. I know a few people in the group have had back issues, not necessarily directly associated with the squat, but some people have who overdid it with the squat, worked a little too hard in the squat. And so we're going to talk about how to prevent that, because I've been there myself. There was a point where I was doing some very extreme squat training in the very, very beginning, going for records, and I would strain my back. So then there are ways of preventing it and then overcoming it, of course. But so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about learning how to bend time perception. Bending time perception is really interesting in order to maximize your output. I mean, I had to really figure out how to do that when I was going for the world record in squatting and practicing. I mean, I learned a lot as I was building myself up toward the world record. And there is actually a way to bend your perception at times, so you can get a lot more out of your body than you think once you're up at those higher levels. Then we're going to talk about learning how to get the most out of squat pace training, and getting and your weekly calorie burn by eliciting the afterburn. How to get the most out of your workout by knowing how to get your afterburn. A lot of people don't go for that level of training. A lot of people have to give it time before they can actually get to that point. You can't push it. But there is something that we're all familiar with, I think, called the afterburn, where you can get like 15% more calories. So if you burn 100 calories from squatting, it's actually 115 if you do it a certain way. And then we're going to talk about the metabolic switch that can literally save your life. And this is the most cutting edge research in exercise science right now. And it's shocking information. In my opinion, it's shocking. Some people might listen to it and say, forget it, I don't care. To me, it's shocking information, and it's revolutionizing the way I'm approaching my fitness training. And all I can say is, thank God I squat, because squatting is the best tool to have to apply to this new research that's coming out. I'm talking new, that it's really coming out to the public more since 2011, and 2016 it really was getting out there. And the CDC is involved, all the big players in fitness and health are involved with that. And then we're going to talk about, finally, how to burn 30 extra fat calories in a 15-minute squat workout by not even doing an extra squat. So hang on for that information. So it's a way to maximize your squatting, but also understand why we squat. So So the first thing is, let's talk about how squatting transforms the body. So some of you are on the program, and some of you have been doing it a long time, you know, and you've taken your squat to great heights. And what does it do? I mean, we feel it works the legs. It definitely works the legs, but what's actually going on? And what's been discovered is there are 7 different types of muscle fibers that we have in our body. Most people, you know, who study exercise, they know of 2, the slow and fast twitch fibers. But then there are subcategories within those. Within slow twitch, there are a few different types. And within the fast twitch muscle fibers, there are a bunch of, I think, 4 different types. 3 in the slow and 4 in the fast. I think that's how it is. And so with squatting, we actually have the ability to hit all those muscle fibers, which is a very rare thing. A lot of exercises are just either cardio, aerobic, which is slow twitch, or there's strength training, which is just the fast twitch. But with squatting, you actually can get to both of them. And there's a certain specific muscle fiber that you can hit, which is called the 2AB. So it's the fast twitch AB muscle fiber, which is a hybrid between slow and fast twitch. And what that means is it actually absorbs oxygen really efficiently, and it also works anaerobically very efficiently without oxygen. So it's this weird muscle fiber that is a very rare muscle fiber to develop. And certain, like for example, a 400-meter sprinter can develop them. Not a 100-yard or 400-meter sprinter can develop. The 100-yard is more of the extreme fast twitch. If you're running like a marathon or 5K distances, that's slow twitch. But like 400 meters, which, you know, I guess could take, I don't know how long that takes to run, right? 40 seconds maybe, something like that. That is this type 2AB, and that's what the squat actually hits. And what does this type 2AB do? It pumps out a lot of growth hormone. But the thing is, it uses oxygen too. So when you're squatting, when you're getting that burn in the legs from squatting, you're actually producing growth hormone, okay, just like a good strength training exercise or sprinting, but you're also efficiently absorbing oxygen and burning calories. I don't know of any other movement that can do this without impact to the joints. And I've been researching, I've been looking, you know, there's and nothing that's practical for sure. You just have to stand up and do it. So you're actually hitting this muscle fiber that produces growth hormone. So hold that thought, okay? So think growth hormone. And what is growth hormone? A lot of people, these words kind of go over their head and they, all right, this hormone, that hormone, you know. This is the simplest way to look at it, is there are 2 categories of hormones. So you can basically produce hormones that are released under certain conditions that we'll call sort of maybe a negative hormone. Insulin, although it's important, it absorbs, helps you to absorb the sugar and all that, right? Puts sugar into the cells. It's good for that, but in excessive amounts, it's a negative hormone. It puts fat on. It's an inflammatory. Okay, so there's a category that's the negative hormones. We're just going to say that. And then there's the category that are the positive hormones. So I think that's the simplest way to look at it. I've been thinking about it because there's so many different types. I mean, you were talking hundreds of hormones that will cascade throughout the body. Let's just break it into 2 categories. What's going to be, just for the simplest sake of understanding these concepts, the bad hormones and the good hormones. So squatting produces the good hormones, okay? It builds the body up. Insulin, the bad hormone, the negative hormone, that breaks the body down. It's more of a catabolic function as opposed to anabolic. That's what growth hormones. That's what those 2 words mean. Anabolic builds up, catabolic breaks down. So let's just, for the sake of this meeting, say there's only those 2 categories. Simplest way to look at it. So squatting pumps out those good hormones. And now there's only so much room in the bloodstream, all right? So when you increase growth hormone or the good hormones, the bad hormones go down. That's just the way it works. It decreases. So keep that in your mind as we move forward, because we're going to come back to this full circle by the end, okay? Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yes.
So, all right, so that's how squat transforms the body. When you start practicing, the goal is to build the 2 AB fibers. Now, a lot of people want to get that right away. And I've got to say that probably for me, it was a couple of years before I was really able to tap into those muscle fibers efficiently. Doesn't mean that squatting wasn't beneficial in the beginning. It was still burning calories. But for me to safely be able to tap into the 2 AB fibers, it took a while. I mean, I don't know how long it took. I'm just sort of guesstimating that it took a couple of years. I've been squatting probably since 2002. Like really getting into the concept of squatting. So probably around 2004 was when I really started excelling with it and experiencing. And if you can experience this, like I'm sure, Justine, Bridget, I'm sure you experienced that burning feeling in the quads, and you just feel a lot of the muscles in your body recruiting, especially if you're going fast. That's your body creating a demand to build the type 2AB muscle fiber. So this is the thing. A lot of people want to get to it right away, so they start increasing their numbers very fast. And especially doing squat TV, I'm learning how to really pull people back, because it's so easy to want to keep on going. It becomes addictive after a while. And you have to pull back. You have to make sure it's safe so that all your tendons, the core muscles, the back, just everything is aligned properly, so that you can slowly build your ability to keep it safe, stay within a zone. That's why the other day on our Facebook, on the Squat TV Facebook page, I put, as you're working out, just keep it at a 70-80% rate of perceived exertion. So 100% would be like you couldn't do it for another minute. That's it. Keep it at 70 or 80% of your exertion, because you want to look at the long term, and you want to build and slowly increase your body's ability to go deeper. So never push it in the beginning. When I say beginning, I would say the first 6 months of you've been doing anything with Squat TV, beyond the 70 to 80%. You're still going to burn a lot of calories, but you're going to be laying down a foundation, and that's the most important thing. But talking about all this, how can we protect and strengthen our knees and back? And this is something that I had to develop. Somebody just went off the video. I think Ava just went off the video. So, too bad she went off, because this would be great information for her. Oh, she'll have to watch it in the rerun. So especially as I was working on figuring out what world record I was going to go for, and going really fast and deep in my squats, and I'd gotten injured. So I really had to go back to the drawing board. This is like 2005, 6, something like that. And I started using visualization techniques, which is really common for athletes. All right, Ava's back. Good. Don't play around with your phone. You're going to keep knocking everything off. Just lean it against something. Okay. So the visualization techniques that I developed were pretty basic, but amazingly effective. And I think, Bridget, you'll appreciate this. So for example, when I'm squatting, I visualize around my knees, sort of from the middle of my shin up to like the lower part of my thigh. I visualize a flexible steel armor. I actually visualize that every time I work out, every time I squat. And ever since I've done this, by the way, I haven't not gotten injured at all. And I also visualize a corset around my waist, around my lumbar, just wraps around me. And in my imagination, in my visualization, it is a steel corset, but it's flexible. It's this maybe a material that we don't have on Earth right now. You know, it's an imaginary material. If you have a good imagination, it's something that you might need to tweak and work on. But using this, what it does is it actually helps you to recruit more of your fascia, which surrounds the muscle. And it's the webbing that surrounds the muscle and helps to kind of sort of weave it all together and keep everything. But not only that, not only do you actually learn how to get in touch with this webbing that's over your muscle and help it to support your joints, right around the muscles and tendons. So as you're standing up, you want to picture yourself like a spring lifting you up. So this is in the video. This is the knee joint over here. This is all surrounded by the imaginary armor, and you imagine it springing you back up. So it doesn't take work. It just springs you back up, and the more you practice that, the more natural that feeling becomes. And the same thing around the waist. So you want to suck the abs in, tighten that corset, and it's all around the lower back. And that's where you had gotten injured, Bridget, upper buttocks, lower back. Visualizing that corset just helps to keep everything firmly in place, keep it strong. Very, very powerful tool. But that is the one tip that I can give that's huge in preventing injury moving forward, especially if you're starting to go faster from squatting. What it does is it helps you to be mindful. It brings your intention into the body. And a lot of people, this is what I was going to say, a lot of people, they start squatting. When going on Squat TV, I had some people that would come home from parties like 12:30, and they just do their squat progress. They didn't warm up. They just want to get it over with. And there has to be some mindfulness that's in place. And it doesn't mean that you can't let your mind wander when you squat. I do a lot of affirmations and I do some thinking. We're going to get to that with the time perception, how to bend that. But having a squat counter allows your mind to wander. But if you listen to the squat pace training MP3s, some of you work out to those, you'll see I always remind you, weight is on the heels, keep the knees behind the toes, shoulders behind the knees, whatever. I'm talking about, you have to always cycle through the form. And then once you've settled into it and you've kind of cycled through it and you say, oh yeah, I've got the form, then you can let your mind wander for a while. But you never want to let your mind wander for too long. So that's really important. So that's where visualizing this armor around your knees, around your waistline, powerful tool to create mindfulness in the body. Plus, it will, I'm telling you, if you have a good imagination, you can really use this tool, it's going to save your knee. You won't get injured again. Your back will be safe as long as you keep applying that technique. And the more you apply it, the better you get at it. You just feel so, I can do 70 squats a minute. I know some of you can as well, but I can do it in a way that's guaranteed safe. And it's because of this visualization. Like I know, like when I'm squatting, I know, I feel it in place. I actually have, it's like the shirt that I'm wearing. That's as powerful as this visualization is. So I want you, Ava, for example, in your case, I want you to use this visualization tool as you're doing your squats. You're doing it at the sink. I want you to picture it. I want you to picture around your waistline, around your buttocks, around your back, around your knees. And this armor, this corset is helping you to lift. It's a powerful material and it's protecting your joints and your back. Use that visualization and it's going to keep everything in place for you. You'll see. But of course, start using that visualization at your pace. So, all right, so that's the armor. That's how to protect yourself. How to bend time perception to maximize your output. Of course, I mentioned the squat counter. A lot of people, they start squatting and whatever, they get to 50. They just count it, 1, 2, 3, 4. I would go crazy. Doing hundreds of squats, there's just no way. You need a squat counter. And that, like I said, it enables you to just let your mind wander when you want your mind to wander. Also doing the squat pace training MP3s or any kind of metronome, whatever it takes, if you can get into a rhythm not have to give yourself a rhythm. That's the key. Whether it's squat pace training or a song that you know, or a bunch of songs you know are in a rhythm that you can squat to, that's important, because otherwise what's happening without a rhythm behind you, you actually have to think each time, down, up, down, up. You're actually having that. It's not the verbal cues, but in your mind you have to think, and that's fatiguing. And after a while, you're not going to want to do that. So you want a rhythm, or my voice saying down, up, and allow your body just to follow those words. And what happens is it puts you into this sort of trance type of a situation, and time can fly a lot faster by just following down, up, down. I just follow it. So a little bit of not hypnosis in any way, but it puts you into a trance, a rhythmic trance. And then if you cycle through the form and you think about your this flexible steel band, and you think about weight is on the heels, you think about shoulders behind the knees, all that, cycle through that. Right there, it's 30 seconds will go by. So you kind of go through the form, and then you keep clicking away, and then you let your mind wander. Listen to the rhythm or listen to the squat pace training. Before you know it, 15 minutes has flown by. And, in 15 minutes, I'll do like 500-600 squats, And it sounds like a lot to some people on the phone right now who've never done squat training like that. But 500-600, it's nothing. After a while, it becomes nothing, because you can bend how you perceive time. And you learn how to kind of set up how you count. So I call this the 100 principle. And that's getting so good at the squat that you could break it into like sets of 100. At the very least, some people, can go whatever, as long as they want. And I've done that too, but I like to at least say I've worked up to my 100, and I know what 100 feels like. And when I know what 100 squat feels like, that becomes one set to me. I say, I'm just going to do 100 right now. And that's one set, done. And I'm going to do 10 sets today. And that's 1,000 squats. So if you can work your way up to that 100 point, and trust me, you can if you have patience and give yourself time, then all of a sudden, once you've experienced the 100 squats, you're like, okay, wow, I can do it. And then the sky's the limit. Once you hit that 100 mark, then you can do 200, then you can do 300, and it just builds from there. So you bend time with the squat counter, the perception of time. You don't actually bend time, by the way. The squat counter, the squat pace training, cycling through the form in your mind, and getting good enough to get to the 100 principle. All right. And if you can do those 4 different parts, time flies when you do squats. Okay, so I'm going to talk about afterburn. So the 2AB muscle, that's a type of a fast twitch that I talked about earlier. If you can get into that muscle, and if you could train like in a 15-minute squat, do the speed play. Sometimes we play, or just squat fast. It doesn't matter. But as you get better at squatting faster and you feel that burn, if you can within that 15-minute set, get a good 3 minutes of getting to the burn point, really tapping into that 2AB muscle fiber, then in 15 minutes you will get to the point where you're going to develop 15% afterburn. That's according to the research, the studies that are out there. I mean, it could go even higher than that, but that's like the most conservative number. So, for example, if let's say you burn 200 calories from a certain amount of squats, and let's say you've done at least 3 minutes of the 2AB burning feeling, and I get that pretty much every workout, By the way, it doesn't mean that, this is the beauty of it with 2AB, it doesn't mean that you have to stop, right? You just feel the burn. You feel there's a point where it's not just like walking anymore. It's not just aerobics. It's at a slightly higher level than aerobic. And that's the beauty of the squat. It's the only movement that I know that does that. So I could do a 15-minute workout where it's all 2AB. If I do it at like 46 squats per minute, that whole time I'm burning, And So I'm tapping into that muscle fiber, and then for 15% more. So if I burn 200 calories, that means it's another, what does it come to? 35, an extra 35 calories. So that's 235 calories then. All right, so far it doesn't sound like that much, but it adds up, and it needs to be counted. Okay, if you're really interested in counting calories, and I know some people are, the people on the phone are, it's part of the program. And for example, I did a weigh-in with someone tonight, and she went, I don't know where she went, but she went somewhere where she was walking 9 to 12 miles a day. And, so I said, all right, well, you got a lot of exercise, so you counted all those calories, like 900 to 1,200 calories of activity. She's like, no, I didn't count it. So she stepped on the scale. She gained fat. She lost weight and gained fat. And that's what happens if you don't count. She was like, I was just strolling, though. But she was strolling for 900 to 1,200 calories. So it's important to count all your calories that are above whatever you consider your baseline. All right, so don't underestimate it. So if it's 235 calories, take it. So if you've worked those 2 AB muscle fibers from squatting, and you're getting that 15% extra burn, and you know by measuring the squat, that's on the website, how to measure your squat, how many calories you burn. And if you know you burned 200, well, and you burned 2 AB muscle fiber, give yourself the 235 because you deserve it, and you need to count it in your food unless you want to gain fat, which is perfectly fine too. I tell that to people all the time. It's perfectly fine to gain fat. Nothing stays at homeostasis. You can gain fat. You can lose it too. But just know that if you don't end up in your net calorie, if you're too low, you might end up losing muscle and gaining fat. And that's not really the goal for most people who want to stay fit. So that's a way to get 15% more out of your calorie burn from squatting. Now here's the really important stuff. This is the life-changing. Pay really close attention to this because this is scary, and it moves me emotionally. This piece of information, because I don't know how to communicate this efficiently, not only to other people, but how to even apply it in my life consistently enough. So basically, according to NASA, according to research out of the Arizona State University Mayo Clinic, the CDC, the American Heart Association. All right, so we got to say, all right, do we trust in any of these people? Do we trust anything? I guess we should. There's some people that are well-intentioned and are trying to put good information out. And these are also the organizations, well, except for NASA probably, that banned smoking or in public places and created the regulations around smoking and put the word out about the hazards of smoking. Well, these are the same organizations that are saying that sitting is the new smoking. And some of you might have obviously heard this information.
I'm having trouble just sitting here.
As Justine gets up and squats, there you go. You can all get up, and I'm sitting right now. See, this is my problem. I love to sit. I just love to sit. But yes, you can all get up and squat if you want. But anyway, so basically, according to this information, I'm going to first relate it to the squat, but then I'll mention other things. So even if you did 40 squats, which count as vigorous movement, every 30 minutes of sedentary activity. So where you're sitting by a computer or in a car, we drive long distances, and that's okay sometimes. But this information is based more on people that have office jobs, maybe people who drive, truck drivers, taxi drivers, whatever. There are jobs that are very sedentary, and my job can be pretty sedentary at times. Thank God I get out and do some group classes, but I drive like 100 miles a day. I'm at the computer for hours on end. When I do music, I'm sitting all the when I'm working out songs or what. It's just like, for me, is a lot of sitting. So I really take this information very, very seriously. So I'm going to first start it with the squat information, and I'm going to kind of go into other areas. But so I did some calculations on what the research brought up, and I'll kind of break down how I came to that conclusion. But even if you did 40 squats for every 30 minutes of sitting, you would reduce all-cause mortality. So what that means is heart disease, cancer, diabetes. Those are the three big players. Arthritis, all right, that too, by hundreds of percentage points. Hundreds. So 4 times reduced would be the possibility that you would get markers associated with these various diseases. So, and I'm gonna, by the way, I'm gonna post on both Squad TV and before and after, I'll email out just a simple article that CNN put out, so you can read that. It's actually the most easily readable article that I've read so far on the subject. So 40 squats every 30 minutes for the average person to reduce the likelihood that you're going to die of those diseases prematurely, at least, right? It's not really clear how much movement. This is the thing that they just know that standing up, standing up is the key every half hour. So the research runs the gamut from just standing up and then just stretching out and then going down. It runs the gamut from that all the way to 25 calories burned every 30 minutes. I did the calculation based on what they categorize as moderate to vigorous exercise, 3 miles of walking. I did the math on that for an average weighted 140-pound person. And it came to 25 calories per 30 minutes. So if we go right in the middle between NASA's recommendations and the CDC and the American Heart Association, right in the middle, we're looking at 12 to 13 calories per half hour. And so when I did the math on the average squat range, it was about 40. And the calories people get from squatting, it's about 40 squats for every 30 minutes. The research basically says you want to do about 5 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity every 30 minutes. It's not exactly quantified. So it's sort of, that information has not come in, but I know that this is key, that what has come out of this research is all of these diseases don't have to exist in people's lives if they actually did this idealistic thing. Now, here's the thing. It's not idealistic. If you're working in an office, what are the chances? Some people, I tell this to, they're like, there's no way. I'm not going to get up 5 minutes every 30 minutes. It might not even be policy for some places. Some places people work, probably not who's on the phone or video right now, but some places they don't even let you, take a snack break until a certain time. It's like they have all these ridiculous rules. Some people drive for extended, they can't pull aside, just stop, get up. Although if you can, obviously that's great. But so it's not practical. But this is where I'm bringing this full circle. This is where the squat comes in. So this information, and it's an article, by the way. It's called "Sitting Too Long Can Kill You, Even If You Exercise," because that's what the studies have shown. That if you sit all day, if you're sitting more than 5 hours, really, and you go to the gym for an hour at night, that is perfectly fine, but it's not going to prevent heart disease, cancer, arthritis, diabetes. That's what the research is showing. It's powerful information. I think some people, they don't believe it. It's hard to believe because we've been fed this other information, which was not based on good research. Certainly movement is better than no movement, for certain things, toning muscles, you know, obviously you feel better, but it was never associated with the reduction of all these four major causes of death. That's a big problem. You know, I'm a trainer. For me, I would say, yeah, you got to do your hour. You got to come to my class, right? But that's not what I'm about. I'm about trying to figure out what is going to benefit people so that people could live longer, healthier, quality lives. That's why I got into this. And I didn't know what hole I was going down when I started researching all of this. You know, I used to think it was just exercise, just forget even about diet. I mean, we're not going to really talk about diet tonight, but certainly that's a big part of it too. So what's happening here? Let's go back to the hormonal thing. Bad hormones, good hormones. Part of the diet program that I have, the before and after program, talks about low glycemic. The purpose of that is to release less insulin. So that's cool. So that's certainly an addition if you're doing that. But if it's not practical for you to stand up every half hour for 5 minutes or to do 40 squats every 30 minutes, if it's not practical, then this is where the squat information comes in handy. Because if you are transforming your body, if you are actually building your 2AB muscle fiber, transforming and creating like a different being, a different body composition, then what's going to be happening is if you were to squat in the morning, you're going to release a cascade of growth hormone. That's going to last you for quite a while. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last you, but if you can't get up every 5 minutes, every half hour for 5 minutes, then if you squat in the morning and squat at the end, I'm not talking about a lot, you know, I'm talking about like 10 minutes on either end, then the growth hormone that's stimulated, which zaps the insulin, brings the insulin levels down, is going to offset what they're saying, because they believe, you know, that the hypothesis is that the reason this benefits people, getting up 5 minutes out of every 30 minutes, what benefits them is it helps to retain sensitivity, insulin sensitivity. When we sit for too long, our bodies become insulin insensitive, which means we can't utilize insulin as efficiently. And if we sit year after year for hours on end, you know, decade after decade, now we're diabetic. That's what happens. And Ava's my mother. She's on right now. She just sat for years. Now she has diabetes. She has all of the symptoms of what sitting can lead to. And all of this can be changed. It's called epigenetics. Epigenetics is what we do, changing our actual genetic proclivity. She asked me yesterday, do I go to a doctor? Well, yeah, I'll get a checkup here and there, but it doesn't matter to me because I'm changing my epigenetics, how my body works by squatting. By building 2AB muscle fiber, I have transformed what I would have been otherwise. And this is the key, keeping the body insulin sensitive. That's what the squat does, by building 2AB muscle fiber. Keep the body insulin sensitive. And then, yeah, if you could stand up and do your squats throughout the day here and there, it's fine. If you do it at lunchtime, nighttime, morning, whatever, you're going to get more benefit. But you're going to get amazing benefit even if you just do it twice a day. So that's really the main message that I'm trying to get across in this. And it's a really difficult one because we're sort of conditioned to think of just, I'll do an hour class, that's my workout, that's where I'm done, you know. Other than maybe like Bridget's she fidgets a lot, she's very active. That's a great way to be. I wish I were more like that. I'm a little more fidgety than a lot of people, but you know, sitting kills. And this is the thing to pay attention to. How much do we truly sit? I know I sit a little more than I should. And I don't know where life is going. You know, what life's circumstances shift. I don't know what, you know, who knows what they're going to be doing in 2 years, 3 years, what kind of job we're going to have, or we don't know. So I think the best takeaway from this would be, if you can use the squat as a tool so that no matter where your life goes, you are going to be able to keep your body insulin sensitive. If you can't get a gym membership, or, you know, the gym membership is great, but you can't go to the gym every half hour, you see? And sometimes, if it's snowing outside or whatever, you can't go for a 5-minute walk vigorously. So you could do squats. But you need to keep doing squats so that you've built yourself to the point where you've built the 2AB muscle fiber, and that takes some commitment and time. And some people occasionally get injured when they're trying to get to that point, and that's what happens. But let me encourage you to go back to basics and rebuild, and keep thinking about the 2AB muscle fiber developing in your body. Think about the visualization of the armor around the knees, around the lower back, so you stay safe, and you build that muscle fiber, and you're going to have that tool for the rest of your life. The gym might close. You might buy a piece of exercise equipment. It'll break. The squat's going to be with you. One more thing. How do you burn 30 extra fat calories? This is just sort of a bonus. I tell this to people, but people don't believe me with this either. Those of you that might have worked out with me or see me squatting, you can hear me squatting. Mm-hmm. I breathe very loudly. If you breathe the way that I breathe during squatting, you can burn 2 calories extra per minute. So in 15 minutes, you can burn an extra 30 calories. Those of you that are looking for calorie burn. So, for example, in a 200 calorie workout in 15 minutes, 200 plus the 35 from the afterburn, plus an extra 30 from deep breathing. Now we're looking at 265 calories burned in 15 minutes. And let me tell you, that is unheard of. It's real. I mean, you can do that with other exercises too, but I'm just adding those numbers together for, you know, talking about the squat here. So, and that's what I get from a typical 15-minute squat workout. And I'm loving the fact that a few of you are standing up and squatting, and see, that's great. Look how lazy I am. I'm just sitting here. I'll stand up every now and then and go down, but that's great. You know, so, you know, I call this lecture the Esoteric Fitness Secrets of the Squat. Esoteric is just basically a closed group, and you're my group. I want to get this information out to you, and hopefully you're going to apply it in your life, and maybe, you know, I'll be sending out that article so you can read the article. It's a very simple, easy to read article about sitting, dangers of sitting, and hopefully you can go out and whoever you talk to at parties or whatever, talk to them about squatting. Try to get this information across, because this is the information that can save people's lives. I truly believe that a good diet is definitely a part of it, but that we've been misled with movement, and that this is such a key thing that's overlooked, and it's so simple, and it's in our control all the time. And thank you very much for being here and listening. I hope it's helped. Do you have any questions? Does anybody have any questions?
Andre, the 3 minutes that you mentioned, can it be 3 separate 1-minute episodes of going faster, or does it have to be 3?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Today I did, for example, I just did a 2-minute blast. And you know what, these to get the extra calorie burn you're referring to, or to feel the 2AB muscle fiber burn, I'm sure you get it all the time, but that extra burn is guaranteeing that you're going into the 2AB, 2X even fibers, which is more of a fast twitch. If you're really burning in 1 minute, you're more like 2X fiber, which is fine too. That's a super fast twitch fiber. So the way to look at it is, you know, it's not a fixed thing. Slow twitch muscle fibers are red, fast twitch muscle fibers are like whitish, and there's an array in between. So as you convert some muscle fibers from, or they start converting the spindles from slow twitch to fast twitch, they then change to become pinkish, a little bit. They become hybrids. So as you start going faster and getting more of a burn, it becomes white. Once you're really burning, that's like you're tapping into those muscle fibers more so. Those muscles are growing. But if you can get a movement that really gives you a burn where you have to stop by the 3-minute mark, for sure that's 2AB.
Okay.
For sure. If it's 1 minute, it might be more of just a fast twitch fiber, and that's perfectly fine too. That's going to produce growth hormone, but you don't have to get to that point. Is also part of it. But the beauty, as I said before, is with the squat, once you've gotten really good at it, you can kind of push through burn. So, for example, every year, I've done it for a while, but the New Year squats,
Right.
that's a burn. To do 2000 and whatever this year would be 2000 and what year is 2018. Squats straight. Well, you're pushing through 2AB pretty much the whole time. So it's an interesting muscle fiber. It's not the sprinting and it's not the long distance. It's that in between, and there's a range of how it feels. So you'll know if you're burning at a minute. That's definitely 2AB, but you might be able to just even keep moving for 15 minutes and still be in 2AB. Yeah, if you're having to really be mindful, and if it's not just a stroll in the park, you're most likely in the 2AB range.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, anybody else have any questions? Well, good. All right, well, that was a lot of information. Sorry I didn't have any graphics or anything, which makes it exciting. Sometimes maybe someday I'll put a lecture together with graphics, but I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you all really soon.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for being on.
Good
Have a
night.
good night. Bye-bye.